Marco Juras here from Fair Realty. This is webinar one of a series of videos on the topic of pre-sales in Victoria, BC. So as you know, there's a lot of developments going up. The Bayview Promontory, the Mondrian, the Era, the Sovereign. So we'll start off with what is a pre-sale. A pre-sale is a real estate that's being offered for sale prior to completion of construction. And this can be anywhere from 1 month to up to 3 years prior to completion of construction. So a lot of people ask me, why would someone buy a pre-sale? So there's several reasons. The biggest one is the potential increase in value of the unit prior to completion. So prior to you having to get a mortgage, prior to you having to take on strata fees, etc. So the way it works is you typically put down a deposit, 5 to 20%. You wait for completion, and you hope the value of the unit during that time increases. I'll give you an example. Inside a unit I bought in 2009 for approximately $200,000. On completion, it was worth approximately $240,000 to $250,000, and it's assessed at around $245,000. So sometimes there can be pretty decent appreciation during the term of construction on your unit. And if the deposit is small, like in my case, it was only 5% or approximately $10,000, your return on investment can be significant. Another reason why people choose pre-sales is brand new home, and there's a lot of appeal to moving into something that's brand new and has never been lived in before. Another reason to buy pre-sale is a wider selection of floor plans, floors, exposure. This selection typically diminishes closer to completion as the buildings become more sold, or a greater percentage of the units are sold. Another thing might be the latest in trends and technology. I'll give you an example. The Sovereign going up downtown by Chard Development, it's got a car elevator. So, little things like that can be very attractive to buyers. And another important aspect that might work to someone's favor in buying a pre-sale is time to save for a down payment, especially first-time buyers. If completion is 2 years out, that can really give a first-time buyer maybe enough time to increase their down payment from 10% to 20% by the time it comes to complete. Now, there are also risks with buying a pre-sale, and a lot of people don't discuss this. One of them, and the big one, is time delay. So when you buy a pre-sale, completion of construction might be 2 years out. Well, these 2 years can easily turn into 2.5 years, maybe even 3 years, depending on weather, construction delays, labor issues. And developers typically have clauses in the contract that allow them to delay the project by a certain amount of time. Typically it's a year before you can get out of the contract, but you have to read the contracts in detail because they do vary. Another risk of a pre-sale is your deposit is held up. So your deposit is protected under the Real Estate Development Marketing Act, but at the end of the day, it's still money that's not in your pocket, and that's in a trust account somewhere. Another big risk to buying a pre-sale is changes from the original terms in the contract. So if you read the disclosure statements carefully, they specify that the developer has the right to change the appliances, the finishing, the common areas, and even slightly the size of your unit. So that's definitely a concern. Developers typically don't like doing this because it can tarnish their reputation, but this is one thing to be wary of when buying a pre-sale, is the changes that can occur. A really big risk to pre-sale is loss in value. So let me give you an example. You enter into a contract to buy a unit for $300,000. The building is completed 2 years from now, and the unit is worth $270,000. So very big risk. People have to realize pre-sale prices don't always go up. There's always the risk that when your unit completed, it is worth less than what you entered into a contract for. And yeah, those would be the main risks. So there's both pros and cons to buying a pre-sale that you need to be aware of. And in the upcoming lessons, I'm going to discuss some of the more technical details of buying a pre-sale. That's it for now. Marco Juras, Fair Realty.